Your spouse will kill your dream.
If we had to put a title to relationship values, what's a 10X in a relationship?
You got to get truthful with what you want first.
A lot of times I felt like I had to go home and continue to defend my vision. How do I get my spouse on board?
You don't have to sell your spouse because sometimes you can't. That takes two people.
With the entrepreneurial spirit, the struggle was my vision of both of us being entrepreneurs.
I became an entrepreneur. It actually caused a lot of tensions in our marriage. As entrepreneurs, we have a higher threshold for uncertainty than most people. All of us want certainty.
This episode was a bit of an experiment. We filmed this on the day that our podcast launched, and we invited an entire room of our friends to do a group podcast interview where everyone that you'll see soon in this audience were our guests.
We talked about pretty much every topic that you may not supposed to talk about, but also all the topics that I think are all on our minds. The things that every one of us, especially in rare paths, think about. And sometimes those topics make us rare. Sometimes they might make us feel a little bit secluded. And our goal in this episode was to make it so that those things are brought to light because you are definitely not alone.
It was a long episode. We're probably going to cut it into several parts. So enjoy this upcoming series. We talked about several topics across the board, and we'll kind of chop those into the individual categories that they fall into. And if you like this, and if you want to be in this room, which I'll turn the camera to them in a moment. They said they loved it and wanted to do this again. And if you loved it as the audience and want to be in the live audience, go to our website, therarethings.com, and sign up for our newsletter so you can hear about a future one.
But if there's a topic that you want us to cover or some rare formula that keeps you in kind of your rare state and rare path, let us know down below. Also, we'd love to know so we can add it to the topics in this show.
I woke up this morning like it was Christmas. Like this podcast, we've talked about this for over a year. And then one day we were like, yeah, no, let's actually do it. And like we set the date November 1st and we're like, how can we do this in a fun, big way? Like, why don't we have a big party and have people over? And
yeah.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah. Thanks for being here, guys. Seriously. Appreciate it. Thank you. Shall we?
Yeah.
Awesome. So the way we're doing this is we kind of thought it'd be fun. Instead of doing this where we're just talking at you, we wanted to talk with you, which is unique and rare. We throw that word in everywhere.
We're going to say that so much. It'll be like a swear jar. How much money can we raise by the end of this?
Yeah. Yeah. So we thought it'd be really fun to do that. So this is really meant to be a group discussion. It's not actually meant to just be a speech. We want to hear you guys' chats about it. And I, on my way here, was ranting into my phone about how much I'm so sick of the fact that we can't talk about what we want to talk about because we're going to offend somebody. Right? So, yeah. We got
how do we really feel?
Can I get an right? Right? So yeah. That's part of the reason we wanted to do this is like, first off, safe space. Yeah. And how cool that we can celebrate that we have difference of opinion. I want to celebrate the fact that we should have difference of opinion because we're different people. And we should. And it's actually weird if we don't. Right. So that's part of the reason that we're doing this. And
we have some really cool, I read through all your intake forms today, so that I can get to know, I mean, I know a lot of you, but some stories that even about people that I did know got to hear their backgrounds. And I wrote some of the things that we have in common in this room. Definitely had a very strong, a lot of people here are completely repulsed by the idea of mediocrity. So that was really cool to see, I see everyone nodding here.
You're in a good place. Yes.
There's a lot of people who love personality assessments. We got human design, we got core, we got strengths finder, we got DISC. So that's something I think that makes sense for people that are rare. We're always trying to understand those things about ourselves. Some of you have a lot of kids too. A lot.
We have 3 girls.
A lot.
And that anchors that statement.
James? Are you James? James has 12. He went from 0 to 12 kids.
Give it up for James. Fighting the good fight.
He's like, yeah.
Adopted them when they were young. We didn't realize they'd grow up. It's awful.
And you can't take them back. Yeah.
Our signed a contract
You're
to stay
saint.
young.
I mean, there's lots of stories that we can pull out from this room. So excited for that.
So we wanted to open up really with chatting about, and we've got a few directions we want to take with it. And we're also being very fluid right now in how we want to run this. This is, just so you guys know, so yes, there's redundancies on redundancies. Marley and I have both filmed a lot of things where something doesn't actually get on audio. So that's
do you know
a mic,
what that
that's
feels
a mic,
like?
This is a mic, that's a mic. So whose name is Mike, right? So anyway.
That's Mike.
There we go. Yeah. So this is a microphone though. Someone in this is my studio. Someone in one of my events, I think they thought it was like a talking stick. Now you can speak. It's not that. This is a microphone. So when you talk into it, it comes through the top. So it can be recorded inside the podcast. Just talking to it right here, and this is being recorded. So you're on the thing as well. So any questions? I guess so far. Yes.
Oh, of course. Please
Yeah.
do. Actually, that would be really great.
On my good side.
We hope that this is not the first. This is definitely an experiment to film a live podcast recording interview as a group, but we want this to be a regular thing, and we want to have regular events that have different topics and different experts that we bring out. Like we were thinking about doing one in January for vision setting and bringing like maybe Dr. Benjamin Hardy. I met a woman named Marie Diamond that teaches how to turn your home into a vision board, like using feng shui. Anyway, like we want to create this all the time. So yes, like spread the word, share if you're having a great time. And if you're not, well, just
There's tomatoes in the back.
Cool. So do we want to start with like the kind of topic? So we have this fancy microphone, and I think it would also be great for everyone to get to know each other a little bit. But
It's a cool room, by the way.
oh my gosh,
There's
reading
some
through
very
your,
diverse
I
backgrounds
can
here.
already this person needs to know this person. Like I hope that by the end of tomorrow, we have some big besties and networking, amazing connections in here. So the topic of the podcast, I mean, rare things, and we created it because we wanted a space for people that know that they are rare. They're doing rare things in life. And sometimes the consequences or challenges of that is sometimes you can feel like you're on an island. You can feel a little isolated, that you're a little misunderstood. And so we wanted to have a space for that, of like people knowing that they are doing rare things and as a result will have a rare life. And also that we were going to talk about rare topics that are not necessarily the norm.
Yeah, and all respect to our histories, right? The people that we were with and stuff. So Marley and I come from previous relationships, all the respect to them, never going to say anything bad, right? None of that stuff. But there was a lot of times where I felt like I had to go home and continue to defend my vision rather than have the house be a place of recharge, right? And a place for safety and getting the vision further. And so that's part of what this is meant to be also, is kind of that safe haven where when you come here and you listen to, or you know, on the podcast or whatever, that this is a place where you can go, hey, I'm actually going to have fun envisioning and get recharge rather than defend the fact that I want to do interesting things, right? You guys ever run into that? It's terrible, right?
I think I read on a lot of your forums too, like the stories and the mountains that you've climbed to get to where you are. And it's not okay, I've reached the smooth sailing. It's, I've said yes to the next one and the next one and the next one. And being around people that get that, I mean, priceless. So,
yeah. I would love to ask, what are some of the ways you guys have, I know that some people have asked, one of the biggest questions Marley and I are asked on stage. Go ahead.
Tell me about your skincare routine.
Yeah, that's what they ask me. Tell me about your hair routine.
Yeah.
Shave it every 3 days.
No one in the history of ever has ever asked me that, or I've never heard that actually asked. Anyway,
all the time.
I just think it's so funny. Everyone always asks me about my skincare routine. Anyway, continue.
Yeah, so if you think about like how many guys you have your own business? How many guys are trying to have your own business? Okay, cool. Awesome. No, it's great, right? That's awesome.
You're in a good room.
Right? You're in a good room. Yeah. I'll celebrate all the spaces we're all in with that. I would love to know, and because this is something that we are asked a lot on stage, is how do I get my spouse on board? Right? Or how do I get my family members on board? Or how do I, right? That question. We don't want to coerce, but we also don't want to sacrifice our own vision and growth, right? What are some of the ways you guys have sold?
He's like, give me the microphone.
You know what I'm saying? What are ways some of you guys have sold your loved ones or your inner circle on the fact that you're about to go take a journey, right? You guys what I'm asking? Oh, yeah. Because for me, I didn't do it the right way. I'm going to be really open. I chose to go hide. And I got really good in college at getting my homework done in 3 or 4 hours. And then I would literally go till midnight. I would hide in the box office seats in the stadium. The front door was the door was locked, but the actual window from the stadium was always open. And I memorized the security guard route. I'm that kid. And I would wait, and I could hear when they would come, and I would grab all my crap and I'd throw it through the front door and head down in the stairs, right in the chairs or whatever, like where the stadium and basketball and stuff was. And then I'd hear him close the door and I'd throw it back in, and I'd go, and that's where I would go and build my vision, right? And I did most of it. I'm not, obviously things have benefited from that, but it did teach me a two-faced mentality. And I started living a second life, and I didn't realize that. It was unfair to others around me and myself. How have you guys handled that? What's the best way to defend your dream?
Lance was already chomping at the bit there.
As a few of you know, I help people to their own business, become their own boss. And we actually have a term for this. It's called spouse-side, where your spouse...
Spouse-side.
Spouse-side. Your spouse will kill your dream.
or my deal as I'm trying to help them find a business. And the reality is the spouse has to be involved. I spoke to a gentleman before I got here today through a friend, warm introduction. And he said, can my wife be on the call we're going to have on Wednesday? I said, absolutely. In fact, it's my fault for not telling you that I would love your wife to be on the call because the more information the spouse has, it's equal. As my wife would say, you're equally yoked. You're equally yoked in this situation, deciding on a business. So information, education helps the spouse understand what it is that you want. Like going out to dinner, it's okay if one has chicken, one has steak, but life isn't always like that. So in what I do in business, it's getting everybody on the same page. And inevitably, one spouse is not going to see that clear vision that the other one has. I hate my job, honey, and I need to get into this business or a business. Lance is going to guide us and show us which franchise out of the 900 he represents is going to work for us. So there's a lot of trust, as we all know, it's trust but verify, and follow your gut from there. But it's trust in a relationship, in a marriage. I'm on my second. It's the perfect one. First one was a
starter.
We agree. We call it the practice marriage.
Yeah. The first one was the practice marriage. The second one, honestly, is the perfect one. But when you have the right, like my wife has no idea what I do at business because this is my chapter 2 or 3 or 4 or whatever it might be. But spouse aside is a thing. You have to get the spouse on board.
Who here has a spouse that isn't an entrepreneur? Can we put to one of the, maybe Kaylin, right? Is it Kaylin? Yes. Tell us. Well, yeah, I'd love to hear what your experience is like.
Yeah, no, I mean, she's totally on board. So I might not be the best one, but the more clearly that you can articulate a vision is important. And then, for a lot of people, I think they get into relationships before they know their values and before they're clear on really where they want to go in life. And then you have to sort through all these things to preserve the relationship.
It made me think about we think about our business values, and I have that I bring to my, quarterly planning with my team every year. But if we had to put a title to relationship values, I'm sure we can come up with them, but I don't have them written out.
We actually talked about that yesterday. We're like, we should probably be more intentional on not just working 24/7.
It's so easy to make business goals and, here's my 10X in business. What's a 10X in a relationship?
Right. Yeah. So follow up though, what was it like to have the conversation with your spouse that, where you got, hey, you're sharing, right? It's hard because I felt like I was trying to sell the vision, right? But I also was unsure myself because I wasn't sure if I was going to make it. I went through 34 failures over 5 years, right? It's like, they're watching you. Like, is this the one that's going to work? And you're like, yeah, I have no idea. But yeah, how'd you even ask, right? And so they're on that journey too. Did your first one take off?
No, I've had a number of failures, but I do think it's the certainty that for me as a man, part of my job is to deliver certainty. And I think it's certainty of the fact that I've always figured it out some way, somehow. And when you have that sort of confidence in yourself, trying something else is like, okay, so it fails, I'll still figure it out. We're still going to get through this together. And as long as she feels security that we are going to handle it, she knows it's going to be rough. She knows starting something new is a lot for her. She knows all of these things about business, but she also knows the vision because we have our value.
And she agreed to it because you let her in on it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I probably over communicate for a man.
Great.
But that's just how I am. And so I want people around me. I want to be surrounded by people that are applicants, that build me up, that want to do big things. And so I have two close friends that they're both struggling with relationships, and neither of their spouses really want to do big things. And so that's a really hard sell. I mean, how do you enroll somebody into that when they have big visions, they're working towards them, and their spouse doesn't care? And that's a whole different thing. But from my personal experience, I can't imagine having to try to fight through that when it comes to a combative partner. But I also know that's the reality for a lot of people in relationships. And I think when you can get on truth, that's probably the most important thing, because you've got to get truthful with what you want first. It's like if you say, hey, I want to go, on a vacation. So you call up a travel agent back in the day. Where do you want to go? I don't know. Where are you at? Don't know that either. When you want to go somewhere? Still not sure. It's really difficult. So you have to go on truth about where you're at today, the values that you have, and then communicate that with your partner. And then at that point, you can either make a decision and try to enroll them and you're going to have support, or you need to consider your dreams.
Yeah.
It's awesome. I was not that clear when I was younger. It's great.
Well, I'm older, so.
Me too now, but back then.
I have a little bit of a different perspective just because I'm the wife in my relationship with a husband who would rather just, be the employee at a business. And I've always been an entrepreneur. So we've been married, for context, we've been married for 16 years. And I've always had the entrepreneurial spirit. So he knew going into our relationship, like I was going to work for myself. But with the entrepreneurial spirit, the struggle that I had was moving past my vision of both of us being entrepreneurs.
Ooh.
And so I, for years, was pushing him into like, we should do this together. Oh, I come from MLM background as well. Like, we should do this one together. Got into my own business. Like, oh, you should do this for my business. I tried to find some way that he could be a part of it. And it hit me just like, you know what? He actually really loves his job. He loves what he does. And he has no desire to be an entrepreneur or to do his own thing. And that's okay. And so as soon as I was the problem of trying to push him into that. And so he has always supported me. And the reason why I brought up, I'm the wife in the relationship, and that really doesn't have anything to do with it, but he was always the breadwinner. And so I didn't have, I think, the pressure that I imagine, the men typically run into is like their wives are depending on them to show up and provide, where I didn't have that pressure, and he was always there to support me. It was more of me just getting over my own stuff, but tried to push him into it.
I'm curious to hear from anyone in here that when they entered their marriage, they were not entrepreneurial, and then they became. So like you said, like you went into the relationship and you both knew that you had this entrepreneurial spirit. So for anyone that had the opposite.
Because that's our background.
Yeah. When I got married in my first marriage, I was a dental hygienist and then became an entrepreneur.
I was in the Army, and then I worked for Russell, and then,
yeah.
And then
I'm a recovered mortgage broker.
You need to talk to Jacqueline.
Sorry. And became an entrepreneur. And part of that was so I could be a green mom and, and wife and stay home and still kick butt and make a lot of money on my own. But I will actually tell you, you don't have to sell your spouse, because sometimes you can't. You can try and do all the right things and communicate and be a life coach and learn all of the ways to do all those things. But sometimes that takes two people to choose into that. So and then I kind of give a bit of a contrary thing where sometimes it's not achievable, and it's okay. I wasn't going to give up the vision anyway. And frankly, it was downloaded into me it wasn't given to anyone else. So how should I think they can get to the level I do? I've got to be relentlessly committed, even if everyone around me thinks I'm crazy. And sometimes they do. So
yeah, that delusional optimism. You said this thing of like, how do you know what's the line between visionary and psychotic?
It's very thin. Yeah, some of that's very thin. I don't know. Not sure. But I see the future.
Well, I was just going to add that I started out in the situation where I was not an entrepreneur. I was running a practice and conventional medicines, kind of living and what I thought was my dream. My husband was also not an entrepreneur. I became an entrepreneur because I wanted to get out of the clinic hustle. And it actually caused a lot of tension and a lot of problems in our marriage. All of us want certainty, even as entrepreneurs, and we have a higher threshold for uncertainty than most people. All of us want certainty. And a spouse, especially for getting more to the women, I discovered that I still had to allow my husband to know that he is a leader in a relationship and I need him. A big part of what we went through was me being the person that I am, the background I came from. My childhood was pretty abusive, the family life was. So I was not going to depend on a man. Like, that's who I was. And it caused a lot of issues. But I still, now we're in a beautiful situation. Actually, I converted him. He's now an entrepreneur too. Launched his own business.
One of us.
But, and the other side of that is that he had to do his own development too. He had to break some barriers that he had, some chains that he had. And then now we're both each other's biggest supporters. But he knows that I need him. So I think especially men they need to know that they are the provider, not just in a certain way that they're taking care of their family. And as women, we can be entrepreneurs, we can do that, but we have to be able to give that to them emotionally and be together in the same goals.